Zelensky issues chilling threat to Russia after receiving major U.S. support.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has threatened to strike deep into Russian territory just days after the US pledged to resume military aid to Kyiv. Zelensky made these remarks following a meeting on July 13 with Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Alexander Syrsky, and Chief of the General Staff Andrei Gnatov. Our units will continue to destroy the occupiers and do everything possible to bring the war onto Russian territory. We are preparing new long-range strikes, Zelensky wrote on X. He added that Ukraine is preparing for a visit by US presidential envoy Keith Kellogg and would work with partners on supplying weapons and expanding joint production of critical defense assets. Among Ukraine's recent strikes far from the front lines were attacks last month on military airfields, hosting strategic bombers in various regions of Russia. Ukrainian drones and missiles have also repeatedly targeted apartment complexes and other civilian infrastructure. According to Moscow, Ukraine was responsible for the derailment of a passenger train on March 31st that killed 7 people. In recent months, the EU has allocated hundreds of billions of euros to expand its military-industrial complex and support Ukraine's domestic weapons production. Major General Christian Freuding, who oversees Germany's coordination of military support for Kyiv, said Berlin would deliver its first batch of long-range missiles funded by Germany in the coming weeks. Earlier this week, US President Donald Trump announced that the Pentagon would resume aid shipments to Kyiv after weeks of suspension and is reportedly considering approving his first new aid package since returning to office. Russia has stated that it views the use of foreign-supplied missiles as direct participation by Western countries in the conflict, claiming that Ukrainian forces cannot operate such sophisticated weapon systems on their own. US President Donald Trump announced that the US would send Patriot air defense missiles to Ukraine, while once again expressing his frustration with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. According to The Hill, President Trump did not specify how many Patriot systems would be sent to Ukraine, but noted that the US would not pay for this delivery. Speaking to reporters at Andrews Air Force Base on his way back to Washington on July 13, Trump declared, "I haven't agreed on a number yet, but Ukraine will get some Patriot systems because they need protection. The European Union will pay for it. We're not paying for it, but the US will provide the weapons." US leader added, "America will send Ukraine the Patriot missiles they badly need because Putin surprised a lot of people. He talks nicely and then bombs at night. There's a bit of a problem there. I don't like that, Elias. Essentially, the US will be sending Ukraine a lot of sophisticated military equipment. They will pay us 100%, and that's what we want." President Trump revealed that he will meet with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House on July 14. Earlier, Trump said that the US had signed an agreement with NATO to supply weapons to Ukraine, with the military alliance bearing most of the costs. The White House leader also expressed disappointment with the Russian president, stating that their phone call did not achieve any progress toward ending the conflict in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on the West to send more weapons to help his country bolster its defenses and counter daily missile and drone attacks from Russia. Experts agree that Ukraine needs additional support from the West to improve the situation on the battlefield. At the Ukraine Recovery Conference, held in Rome last week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv had implemented measures to counter Russian drones, but still required major investment in its defense industry. Colonel Reisner acknowledged that Ukraine had achieved good results in producing its own drones, but remained unable to be fully self-sufficient. They need backing from the West, especially special weapon systems like the Patriot air defense missiles, he said. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz declared this week that Berlin is ready to purchase Patriot systems from the US to provide them to Ukraine. According to Heinemann Gruder, the West needs to overcome fears that weapons supplied to Ukraine could fall into Russian hands, something that might erode Western defense companies' technological edge. Additionally, establishing joint ventures with Ukraine could impact the broader weapons market.